going to take a look at the Z30 vlogging camera and compare it with the Z50 and the ZFC, which are Nikon's DX mirrorless offerings. Are you having fun there?
We're going to talk about similarities between them, the differences, and which one you should choose for yourself.
Let's take a deep dive into the specs of the Z30 first, just to give you an overview. The Z30 is Nikon's smallest and lightest interchangeable lens camera at a mere 350 grams.
20.9 megapixel sensor, the same as ZFC and Z50. 209 autofocus points, autofocus eye detect, all those fancy things that you now expect from your mirrorless cameras.
Other features include a flip-out selfie screen, a lamp to tell you when you're recording, when you're in selfie mode.
I love a good lamp on my camera.
It's very important. As well as 4K shooting at 24, 25 and 30 frames. Now let's compare these three offerings from Nikon in terms of DX cameras. They've all come in vlogging form at some point or another. So what makes the Z30 better or more special?
Okay, so let's talk about cosmetics first. Obviously, you got ZFC as your vintage-looking camera, and then you've got a modern look on Z30 and Z50. Talking about the size, while Z30 doesn't have an EVF, it's actually a little bit taller than the Z50. If you look at them side by side, the dials and the buttons are a little bit bigger, especially if you look at the dial on top and record button compared to Z50, you'll notice the difference, and that, I guess, something to do with vlogging.
That actually makes it a little bit more user-friendly, and because they repositioned the ISO button and the record button, you don't confuse the two if you're not looking at the top of the camera. In terms of recording time, the Z50 and the ZFC have a limited recording time of 29 minutes and 59 seconds, depending on the memory card that you have in there, while the Z30 will actually record up to 125 minutes non-stop.
Which is good if you're running a very long take, like we do now, or a very long vlog. If you're, let's say, walking along the Thames from Parliament down to Tower Bridge and asking every passer a question.
Yeah, then you would need 120 minutes of recording time.
Exactly.
Let's talk about some cons of the Z50 and the ZFC versus the Z30.
Okay, so Z50 has an EVF. So for photographers and us, and not videographers, we will definitely appreciate that. Compared to the other two cameras, it's the only one with a built-in flash. Again, not so much for video work, but if you are a stills photographer, you would appreciate that. For video side of things, it also doesn't have power delivery or USB charger. Compared to the other two cameras, this one has a micro USB port, and Z30 and ZFC has USB-C.
They actually all have a 3.5mm jack so that you can plug in an external microphone. So if you are just doing short bouts of recording and you're not trying to stream or do anything else with it, then the Z50 will be fine for you. Another issue with the Z50 is that the selfie screen is actually a completely different design. It hangs down like this so that you can see yourself when doing selfies. Look at that.
However, if you've got a little tripod or something like this that you want to put under, which will help you just to kind of, get slightly better angle, then it will block off the screen, so you won't be able to see yourself, compared to the other two cameras where the LCD screen goes on the side instead. And in terms of this, it's much easier with the tripod attached.
One thing I'd say is a pro towards the Z50 is also the built-in grip, which you lose on the ZFC. So in terms of design, if you're maybe a hybrid photographer, you do a little bit of video, but you mostly do stills, then the Z50 is probably the right pick for you. Now let's have a look at the ZFC by comparison.
So what I like about ZFC, a part of it looks, and it is gorgeous, let's be honest, but what you can do if you would like to have an analog experience or film experience, you can just close the screen like this, and all you have is actually a viewfinder. You don't have that on Z50. You do have it, however, on Z30, which I also love. You can close your screen and use your eye for framing.
Then you really have no idea what you're taking a picture of.
Exactly.
No clue about exposure either.
Exactly. What I wonder, you can potentially get those little optical viewfinders like you would get for rangefinder cameras and attach them on top for the focal distance of your lens and pretend that it's a film camera.
So that's really very typically us, isn't it? To take a camera that's designed specifically for vlogging and just see how we can turn it into a film camera experience.
If you like to role play, this is the camera for you.
Okay. One of the things that I would say could be a downside or a plus side for the ZFC is the fact that it does have this retro design. For some people, particularly beginners, that's going to be quite distracting. You've got your manual shutter speeds on the top, you've got your manual ISO on the top, and it's all very tactile. For beginner photographers and vloggers, that might seem a little bit overwhelming and perhaps less user-friendly. So if you are looking at a camera primarily for vlogging, the ZFC doesn't make a huge amount of sense unless you like that sort of hipster look.
Exactly. But if you're a seasoned photographer and you had film cameras in the past, that is the camera for you because it will bring that nostalgia that you crave in digital camera.
Yeah. Now let's talk about the cons of the Z30. The obvious one is the fact that it doesn't have the EVF. So unless you do that unusual thing of putting on an optical viewfinder as Con suggested.
That's me.
Yeah, then you are really limited to the fact that you have to look at the back screen. Now, for most influencers, content creators, and vloggers, that's not going to be an issue because most of the time they've been used to shooting on their phone and they're used to looking at an LCD display. Now, I do think that Nikon could have made the LCD a little bit bigger. Edge to edge would have been great because obviously if you're used to looking at a fairly large phone screen, then this is quite small by comparison, particularly as that's the only way that you're going to compose your photo. But it's not the end of the world. The LCD is no bigger than it is on either of the other cameras, essentially. The other thing is that the Z30 doesn't come with a battery charger, which probably won't be an issue for most because you can charge the battery via USB-C. It does come with a USB cable, but for those of us who are used to having an actual cradle that you can plug your battery in, it's going to be a bit of an odd thing for it to not be in the box. Working in the Z30's favor, it does have, as Con pointed out, a slightly elevated top plate, which is actually home to a new and improved stereo microphone.
Yeah, we assume that the built-in mic is a little bit better compared to the other mic. All right, let's talk about those cameras from vlogger's perspective. So all of them can shoot videos. However, battery life is not really good on any of them. So I would say ZFC and Z30 have slightly longer battery life while taking the same battery. It is something to do with internals more than anything else.
They all take the same battery, which is a rather small ENEL 25.
Yeah, so for running and gunning, you definitely want to get maybe 2 or 3. So if you do record a lot of videos, definitely go with 3, but I would have at least one spare just in case. If you're a sales photographer, it's not so bad, but if you start to introduce video, that's where the problem lies. Now, for stationary shooting, let's say at home, if you have a beauty blog or you're doing a live streams, etc., etc., ZFC and Z30 have a power delivery functionality, so you can actually shoot plugged in, so it won't drain the battery. Z50 doesn't have that feature, so you need to keep that in mind when you're live streaming. So if you're live streaming, I wouldn't really live stream for more than 45 minutes to be precise. And then all 3 cameras will allow you to connect it to your computer and use Nikon web camera utility, so you can use it as a webcam effectively.
Let's talk about vlogging kits. So all 3 of them come with a vlogger kit option supplied by Nikon. It varies a little bit from country to country, so I'm going to tell you what the vlogger kits contain for the UK. The Z50, being the earliest vlogger kit creation from Nikon, comes with a Manfrotto mini tripod, a Rode video microphone, which is this one. Here's one we made earlier. And a small rig mounting plate for that reason that we told you earlier, where you need to actually mount the Manfrotto tripod on the side of the camera so as not to get in the way of the selfie screen. Now, the ZFC was the second camera that Nikon created a vlog kit for. It's only available in some countries, but it comes with a Sennheiser shotgun mic, the small rig tripod grip, and an MLL7, because the small rig tripod grip is designed to hold the MLL7 inside it. The MLL7 is a remote controller specifically for these small cameras.
The beauty of MLL7, it allows you to record the video without pressing the button on top of the camera, but actually by pressing on the MLL7 itself. So if you vlog in with the camera, you can just press on it really quickly and start recording straight away.
Yeah, and you don't get that jerky movement of pushing the button on the top of the camera while you're in selfie mode. Now with the Z30, there are actually 2 different options. In the UK, The Z30 Vlogger kit comes with the small rig tripod grip, just as with the ZFC, and it comes with a small rig wind muff, which just sits on the top of the Z30 and muffs the built-in stereo microphone. In the USA, it actually comes with a slightly better kit because it comes with one of these Rode microphones, which is the optional edition, and it comes with an MLL7 as well. These kits may change from country to country and they may change in the future. So although it's correct at the time of recording, don't hold us to it if your kit has something different in it.
So who are those cameras for, Becky? Let's start with photographers.
Yes, if you are primarily a photographer, maybe you occasionally throw in a little bit of video, I would say go for one of the cameras with the EVF, either the Z50 or the ZFC. You can probably tell by the fact that I have Peak Design anchors on it that this is my camera. All of them come with the 16 to 50 lens. All of them, you can change the lens, but as a starting kit for a travel setup, if you are primarily a photographer, I would look at the Z50. If you want something a bit more retro designed, a bit more hipster, a little bit cooler, then the ZFC is really nice.
Absolutely. ZFC can also be bought with a pancake 28mm lens, so you can buy it as a package if you don't want 16 to 50. It's also just a beautiful looking camera, so in terms of this, if the looks are your thing, then go for it. And if you've got nostalgia for old vintage Nikon cameras, this is the camera to choose. Now, if you're a videographer and you don't mind not having EVF, then Z30 is the way to go. 125 minutes recording time is fantastic. But again, if you are missing EVF, then Z50 would be the way to go.
Yeah, the Z30 is designed for people who are maybe making an entrance point into interchangeable lens cameras, who want something that is better quality than the tiny sensor on their smartphone, and who want to be able to get the effects that you get with interchangeable lenses. Because let's face it, no matter how much technology they put into smartphones, you're never going to get the same look as you get with a lens that's dedicated to a camera like this.
Keep in mind, this is also the cheapest Z camera available. So in terms of this, it's fantastic to have, especially if you're buying it as a kit with something like 16 to 50 or double kit with a 50 to 50 lens.
And here you have it, folks.
Tell us which one is the camera for you in the comments below. If you'd like to see more videos like this, do hit that like and subscribe button. And if you do find this video super useful, there's a super thanks button as well.
Thank you very much for watching.
Here you go. This is my analog setup. You look through your optical viewfinder, take a picture. I don't know why they decided to vlog a camera. It's a photographer's camera. You just need to know how to use it.
Good.